So in addition to the question, the answer key, we gave you guys this document. So the purpose of this document is, let's just say my name is Manus and I got question 6 wrong, right? And Manus is a really smart and hardworking student. So what Manus would do is he goes and checks the answer key. He checks the answer key and he's like, oh, this is still a bit confusing. I want to learn more about it. So what does Manus do? Click this link. He opens it up and voila, we've made it so easy for you. We found you exactly the link to do some additional practice and learning. So what does Manus do? He opens his page up and he watches his video. Then he watches the next video. Then he watches the next video. And then he watches one more video. And then what does he do? He practices, right? He finishes practicing. And by the end of it, Manus, how do you feel about the question now?
Good.
Yeah, you've aced that concept, right? Exactly. So this is additional that we've given to you guys because we felt that this might help you as well. So, this term we're trying to make sure that we really, really help you as much as we can to do well in the GATE test. So I feel like with quantitative reasoning, I'll quickly open up the answer key. What was the answer key called? Does anyone remember? Answer key? Would this be it? No, this is not it. Yeah, I think this should be it. Okay, perfect. So in here, by the way, I made the maths answer key. So you guys can see me put some like cheeky answers in here. So for example, one of them is for Sean. So I said that Sean took off in an Apple car, just for fun. Or I said that in another question, I'm like, where is it? Let me find it. Oh yeah. I'm like, although there's a mathematical way to solve it, a quick thinking student can realize that together the brothers will work faster than individually. So, I'm just trying to be a bit smart here, but it's not that funny, but I found it funny. Moving on. So make sure you go through these answer key to practice. Make sure that you fully understand it. Same as the generability. We got Jenny and the other tutors and stuff to make sure that they've given you explanations on how to do it. So there's no reason for why anyone doesn't remember how to do, doesn't understand any questions. By the way, Arti, thank you so much for your patience. I'll be right there. I'll answer your question like just after I finish this. Thank you so much for being so polite and keeping your hand up. Yeah, so the what I would recommend, but yeah, by the way, another thing I want to talk to you guys about was about these descriptions that Jenny's done. Now, the main reason Jenny's done this, and we think it's going to be really useful for you guys, is because generability. Okay, Jenny learned generability last year when she first joined us. Now she's so good at it that she can just look at a question and immediately know what the answer is, right? How did she get to be that good? And the main reason is just like maths. Well, unlike maths, I don't know. I would say somewhat like maths. Generability, there's no real concepts that you have to learn. There's not too many concepts to learn, right? Once you understand what the question is like, it's all about recognizing patterns, right? So if you see a question and if you see that type of question again, you immediately know what you're looking for. Or the more questions you do, you understand which patterns would come up again and again and again. So Alina, give me a very common pattern that comes up.
+1, +1, +1.
Perfect. Another one. +1, +2.
Yeah, +1, +2, +3, +4. Or like
right.
square numbers.
Perfect. Alina, if you see a series of shapes, sorry, a series of letters, what type of pattern could it be?
Number of lines.
Number of lines. Good girl. What else?
Like, A = 1, B = 2.
Yes. Perfect. And what else could happen?
Number of curves and stuff.
Perfect. So do you guys see the new students and the old students as well? Do you see how Alina's automatically knows a lot of these patterns already? And that's because generability is really about recognizing patterns. So by having these list of question types, you guys should be able to have in your mind, okay, so this is a movement question. Okay, this is a line of symmetry question. This is probably the Fibonacci sequence. And the more and more you do it, the better you get at it. Okay. All right. Arti, what's up?
For the average marks that you were showing us, is that for Nulamara?
No, this is so this is all the old students and these are all the new students. I just called it Friday all new because Friday all the kids were new. But yeah.
Okay.
Ariana.
Melvin, I just
Yeah.
wanted to ask, that those answer keys that you showed us, are
Mhm.
those for like this week's test that we did yesterday, or is it like some other one?
It's for mock exam 1, Ariana. So you know the one you did 2 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's for that one.
Oh, okay.
You're welcome. Alina.
Are you still doing the YouTube videos with Maria?
Yes, we're trying to put out we have so many things in the pipeline right now that we have to get done, but that's definitely on top of the priority list. Another thing I want to give you a teaser about is where we'll be running an event on
Oh,
the
you said you
second
won't be
last.
there.
Yeah, but we decided we will do it because it's unfair that you guys missed out on that. So we will have an event on the second last week of just before the gate test. So not the last week before the gate test, the second last week. But we will send out more information soon. Dev, you're back.
Yeah. An event on what?
That's a surprise. We'll share more details soon.
No, is it multi-exam paper?
Dev?
Yeah, Melvin.
Yep.
Today, if we have time, could you please go to question 17 or 18 in the math for term. So for the first test.
Yeah. Dev, have you looked at the answer key for those questions?
Yes.
And you're still confused?
Yes.
Okay. In that case, I will go through it after we go through the main lesson plan that I have for today. Sounds good?
Yep.
Awesome. So this was the event that we ran last year. I'll just quickly show you guys. So we'll run something similar to this, but we'll post more information soon. All right. Moving on. Alan, sorry?
Will you have one at Nolamara as well?
It'll be with everyone. Everyone will come to the same thing.
Are you gonna give out awards?
I don't know. But actually, I'll answer that one question really quickly. The noting competition prize will be given on that day. So for those new students who don't know, we have a noting competition. You should have gotten a free notebook at the start of your the first lesson. The best decorated notebook, the best decorated, right? Not the smartest student, but the best decorated notebook with all the notes in it will get a prize and something really good. Right now, one of the prizes we're considering is those Polaroid cameras where you take a photo and it comes out straight away. But we're thinking about other stuff as well. Okay.
I have one.
I got to move on now. So the 3 people have a question. So Aaron, Anushka, Navazish, and Alan, could you send that in the chat and I'll try to get to that later. Okay. So abstract reasoning, as you can see, again, because you guys have so much more practice, you're doing way better. You got 15 out of 30, right? Reading comprehension. Now, this is something that we want to work on. That's why for this term, Maria's main focus would be reading comprehension and writing, but more so reading comprehension. Maria posted something really cool. So I want to give a shout out to Maria. Let me show it to you guys. Let me see if I can find it. But she posted this really cool thing recently. All right. If I find it later, I'll show it to you guys. But basically, it's a tip on how to improve your reading comprehension. Basically, what Maria suggests is if you want to improve your reading comprehension, one of the easiest tasks you can do or an activity you can do is write short summaries of any text you read. So, for example, with your mock exams, let's just say you read, you read the Captain America story. Rowan, please don't draw on the screen. you read the Captain America story, write a short like summary, like 2 to 3 sentence summary on the Captain America story with all the key information. That forces you to remember and identify the key bits of information and then gives you the practice. Ooh, Alan, you want to see the meme video from last week? Yes, I'll try to show you the meme video. You guys remember? That's awesome. What do you mean by decorative? So I'll see if I can find you an example of a really good notebook and I'll show you guys. Do you mean like drawings or just like writing? Like writing, if you want to like put like some colors in it, if you want to make it really fancy, things like that, that's decorative. Okay, next, writing. Now, writing is where I really, really want to improve for you guys. So the main reason I want you to guys improve writing is because it's one of the easiest places to improve. And I feel like the new students have not really like followed and learned the concepts that we taught you guys before. Okay. So I want to have a quick revision of that, and I'll make hopefully in the upcoming week a few videos on those concepts. Wait, Aaron, I'm so sorry. I'll have to go through, like, I'll have to resume the lesson, but could you please send me your question in the chat and I'll try to answer it. Okay. So with writing, first thing is I'm happy overall, I guess, because your writing average for last mock exam was 24 and you went from 24 to 26 overall. That's pretty good. You've improved, but we can get better, right? Hopefully by the end of the term, we hit an average score of 30, right? Little by little, we'll get there, right? So how do we get there? So there's few things that we need to focus on. So let me open up a notepad and let me show you something else as well. Gate. Oops. Gate. Presentation. So, can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yes.
Shri, again, I have to resume with the lesson. So just send your question in the chat and I'll try to answer it later. Okay, Shri?
Okay.
Okay. So this presentation, I think I've shown it to you, my older students before. But basically this is the presentation that the education department shows to all your parents when they go for an information session, right? And if you look at writing, what is the main things that they're looking for? It's pretty obvious because they've underlined it. They're looking for a creative and original piece of writing. And it says that it's marked differently from NAPLAN. So for those of you who don't know, NAPLAN is mostly for the government to assess schools and just the Australian education system overall, right? By getting the entire country and the entire set of students in the whole country to do the same test, you're able to see how well certain schools are teaching certain concepts to students. And therefore they're able to, give more money to certain schools or give less money to certain schools, or maybe implement different changes to the syllabus and things like that, right? It's a way for the government to assess the country's overall education. So GATE is clearly not about that. NAPLAN is a test on your technical skills of English, right? NAPLAN is a test on your technical skills of English, where they test, for example, whether you know certain grammatical rules, how well you know your Harshal, please don't draw on the screen, thank you. How well you know how to spell certain words, right? Your punctuation and those sort of things. But it says GATE is marked different from NAPLAN. So what does that mean? Well, what it means is that GATE does not really care too much about those technical aspects. I want to be very clear about this. It doesn't mean that you can write, things like GET space, so let's just say a character in your story lost a fight. You can't say Sam got Sam get wrecked, right? You can't say that because that's not, proper English. You won't do well if you wrote Sam get wrecked, right? You could say Sam got injured in the heat of battle or something like that, right? But what I'm trying to get at is the main thing is that it has to be creative, interesting, and original. So there's a few questions that are coming through. So let me see. The first one, you didn't get your writing. Yep. I'll tell the tutor to pass your writing on Monday. I have two questions. One, I don't know where to get the notebook. So you are in my class. I'll get your notebook. And two, would you send the answer key? The answer key is sent to the WhatsApp group. So I know you joined recently, so I will send you the link for the WhatsApp group. Next question is, what do you mean by original writing? Well, here's an example. While we were marking last week's writing, we all got together. So all the tutors on Friday last week, after the lesson, we all got on Zoom and we went through kind of like an evaluation on how you guys did, right? And one of the things that we found was that, first of all, a lot of you are writing the same concepts, right? At least 60% or 70% of you wrote stories about being bullied. And the whole thing was this boy, he had some sort of deformity, like, I don't know, he didn't have a leg or his arm was broken or his eye had a disease. And then he was bullied for being different. And then at the end, a random kid comes up and says, hey, it's okay to be different. We can be friends now. And that's it. That's beautiful. It's nice. But do you see how there's a problem if 70% of the students write the exact same story about, getting bullied? Do you guys understand that? It's not original. So how can you be original? Well, let's think about what does it mean to be different. One tip I want to pass on to you guys is when you're thinking about themes and stories and writing and things like that, right? Maybe try to step away from the very common things that you guys all experience a lot about. So for example, school related stuff. A lot of you write stories about the GATE test. I highly recommend you not to do that unless you feel that your story about the GATE test is extremely creative and original or interesting. But unfortunately, I don't think it would be very interesting, especially for like an adult marker who's reading it. Reading about the GATE test is not that interesting. And same as your school stuff, you can write a beautiful story about being bullied, right? I'm not saying bullying is good, but you can write a really good story about it, right? But it's very common that a lot of students write about bullying. So try to step away from it. Think about what it means to be different. So I'll give you a great example about another kid. Let's just say we don't have to go too far, but think about a really famous kid. Is there any famous, is there a really famous person that you guys can think of who is still a student or a child?
Jojo Siwa.
I have no idea who that is. Is that a YouTuber?
Yeah, it's a YouTuber.
Okay. But let's think about someone who's like, done something really impressive.
Blue Ivy Carter.
Obama.
Okay. I respect that because that's Jay-Z's daughter, but she didn't do anything impressive. Sorry? Okay, I'll give you a clue. Remember that you read a reading comprehension about this woman.
Natasha.
Yeah, Malala
Malala?
Yousafzai. Yeah, Malala, right. Malala was a young girl who was being tormented, who like Malala just wanted an education. And she was not able to get an education just because she's a girl. But what did Malala do? She dared to be different. You guys know the story about Malala, right? Another famous person is that girl. I forgot her name. The one who's like, how dare you?
Greta
Oh, Greta Thunberg. Greta Thunberg, right. You guys all know about Greta Thunberg.
No idea.
I'm going to have to mute yourselves, guys.
Okay.
So you guys all know about Greta Thunberg. She's literally on the news like all the time last year and the year before,
Wait,
right?
Who's that?
Greta Thunberg dared to be different. while everyone else was saying, climate change is not that real and things like that, Greta Thunberg started protesting and try to fight for, climate equality. What I'm trying to say is, think of examples or stories that you guys know of that are not so related to school, because everyone could write about school. Do you guys understand?
Melvin?
There's, yeah.
There's also this one Desmond Doss. He also like dared to be different. So like, there's that example as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Ariana. I don't know who that is, but I'm happy that you gave me that example. So if I did bad in my NAPLAN results, does that mean I'll do bad in my GATE writing? No, it doesn't, because GATE's more about most of these are
Not math though.
it's about different marking skills. In writing, what if you use a perspective of an animal? That'll be interesting. That'll be interesting. It depends on how you tell the story. If your writing is based on something you read, 1 second, Alina. If your writing is based on something like Greek mythology, will you lose marks even if it is creative? Well, if it is creative, then it's fine. But if you just write the story of Hercules, and how he did the impossible tasks, then it wouldn't be as creative. What are some good books you think that are GATE? By good books, do you mean good books to read or good books to do practice questions? Because there's no good books that I know so far for GATE practice questions. They're mostly for like Sydney and Melbourne. They're not that good. Gayatri says personal experience. That's really, really good. So Gayatri Gayatri is talking about personal experience as to how you can write stories, that are a bit different. Think about stories that your mom and dad have told about their childhood, or your grandpa has told about their childhood, or movies you watched, or your cousins and things like that, right? And you can bring that in. Good books to read. I think, Malishi, it's a bit too late, to read books necessarily just to improve for GATE right now. I think the best thing you can do is continue reading, but try to do summaries of things that you've read, as Maria suggested, and also looking up at the definitions of the words that you don't understand, and also reading harder books. Like, I think the closest thing you could do is going to the young adult section. So, like Harry Potter maybe, or Hunger Games. They're not exactly the best books in the world, but they're much better than Caps Under Underpants, or I don't know, Geronimo Stilton and things like that.
I've read 3 of the Harry Potter books already.
Awesome.
Yeah, they do
That's
help
good.
because that vocabulary and everything, it's kind of high.
Yeah. Okay. Now, Niharika asked a really good question. Wouldn't using a famous person or movie character in your story be copying? Very good question, Niharika. It's about being inspired by those questions. So let me think of an example. Okay. Recently, I'm watching this movie. I'm not going to say the name of the movie, but it's an awesome movie because it's about a law trial. There's this person. His family was attacked by this group of evil men, and in anger for his family being attacked, this person goes out and kills those people who attacked his family. The police catch him, and then the whole movie is about the court, the murder case going to trial. And it's a huge issue because they live in Mississippi in America, and Mississippi is known for its huge racism and racial divide and things like that. And the problem with this case trial is all the people in the jury, including some of the police, they don't like this person who murdered the other people because he's not white. Now, this movie, it's really good as in how it shows the characters and everything like that. But this movie was based off an older book. And the book is called How to Kill a Mockingbird, right? That's a very, very famous book. Really, really famous book. And it's not the exact same story as How to Kill a Mockingbird, but it's taken inspiration from that story. Do you guys understand?
Yes.
Yeah.
So what you guys can do is you don't have to copy the story of Malala Yousaf, or you don't have to copy the story of Greta Thunberg. Think about how you can write a story based off that or inspired by that. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on. Next thing I want to go through is really quickly go through. So now that we've gone through this, I want to go through just a quick revision, like a really quick revision on persuasive writing. Now, as you can see here, it says there is no restriction on genre or style. So you can write newspaper articles, you can write Facebook posts, you can write a blog article, you can write a story, you can write a persuasive text, you can write a speech, you can write an interview, you can write, I don't know, a Discord chat. You can pretty much write anything you want, but you have to be smart about what you do. Now, some of you have asked me before that whether or not you could do poetry. You can do poetry. It's just that it's very hard to get good marks in poetry. That's the problem. You can, for example, do a Facebook post as you're writing, but it's slightly harder. Now I'll explain why it's harder for poetry and the other things. Poetry is hard to do really well because essentially what is poetry, right? Poetry is when you describe things or when you make a commentary on certain things without using literal descriptions, right? So for example, if I look at me as a teacher, Melvin as a teacher, right? And I describe Melvin is annoying. He says really bad jokes for a living. All the kids run away from his classes. Is that poetry?
No, but it is true.
Definitely not.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. So Abir, those, as Abir said, it's not poetry, but it's true. Poetry doesn't have to be false. And
I said
the thing
that.
is, yeah, Abir. Sorry, not
I'm
Abir.
not
Sorry,
Abir.
Ahmed. Sorry, Ahmed. Yeah. So those are factual statements, right? They're like factual, literal statements.
They're not true.
Good poetry usually involves symbolic language, such as Melvin's words were like lead to my ears. I dreaded with passion and agony as I learned that I had to go to Loyola for tuition. Every time Melvin said a joke, all the weird kids cackled like a wild pack of hyenas, while I sat there dreading my time in prison. Do you guys see how that's more poetic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
For a lot of students, especially at your age, but even older ages, right? So even like people, kids my age, poetry is really hard because to talk about things symbolically, it's not as easy as you think it is. So like, if you think about, English as a technical skill, or if you think about maths as a technical skill, right? I'll use a direct comparison because I know some of you are really good math students and some of you are really good English students. In maths, the most easiest set of maths is like literal maths. If I want to say it. So for example, 5 + 5 is 10. Or if I want to go harder, 500 times 435, literal maths. But then you can go a harder level where you introduce algebra, like variables, right? Then you can go harder where you have calculus. Calculus is optimizing certain variables, right? So there's levels to it. With English, you have a basic level of English, which is a literal language. It's where you just say, Melvin is annoying. Melvin's jokes are not that funny, right? These are all lies, by the way. I'm the funniest person alive. But, there's a literal level. And then you can go, to a symbolic level or a metaphorical level. Like, Melvin's as sharp as a nail and his jokes are better than gold. I don't know, right? Exaggeration, things like that. So it's, Kieran says cap. Love that, Kieran. But, it's harder to do that. So what I recommend is working with texts that,
You're not funny.
okay. Working with text types that you are, somewhat strong at or easy to do well in. And that is usually narrative because you have experience with it, or persuasive. right? But at the same time, you guys have the opportunity to try things out. If you want to do a poem, go for it, right? If you want to do a news article, go for it. But make sure you can do really well in that specific text type that you choose. Now, the main focus that we will be taking at Loyola is with narrative, because we feel that a lot of students, just from our experience having taught almost 500 kids now, 500, 600 kids now, that you at this age and with your experiences, you guys understand stories much better than writing powerful persuasive arguments. But we will go through a quick recap of a few persuasive things in the next 20 minutes, and then we'll go through some writing video, like some narrative writing next week. Ariana, what's up?
So like if you want to read more and like get better at reading comprehension and things like that, like would like things like Shakespeare and things like help improve reading and comprehension?
So the thing is with Shakespeare and stuff, right? I would just say it's a bit too hard. So I'll give you an example. So I'm not sure if you guys know, but one of my most like, so I'm a very boring person in general. All I do is just, I don't know, pretty much my day is just I do tutoring, and then I go to uni, and then I go to the gym, and then I come home and then watch videos on YouTube or read books or whatever, right? I live a pretty boring life. But the things I do, like tutoring and the gym and things like that, I'm really, really interested in it. So I'll give you an example with the gym. So let's just say Ariana decides that she wants to be the Australian Olympic athlete for weightlifting. Okay, Ariana? And to improve Olympic weightlift, to become an Olympic weightlifter, Ariana, you have to lift really heavy weights, right?
Right.
But what would happen if you go tomorrow and then lift, 200 kilos?
Oh, dude, never.
Yeah, you would get injured, right? And that's essentially the same thing with English or, any of the skill that you practice. You have to improve incrementally. If you jump straight away from reading, Harry Potter to Shakespeare, one, it'll be boring. I'm not sure there's many people in the world, especially year 5 students who find, Shakespeare interesting, but also it's be very difficult to understand the level of complexity that there might be in the stories. Good question. The rest of you, so Aarti and Jaden, just send your questions in the chat. I need to quickly grab my charger. I'll be right back. Okay.
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 Where's Godzilla?
Awkward.
Okay. I hope it's not awkward anymore. All right. Perfect. So let's get started.
Melvin.
Yes.
I forgot my question.
Oh, Hannah's in Bustleton. I'm so jealous. That sounds really fun. How long are you there for, Hannah? I think Hannah's gone silent. All right, Shri, I need your nuclear codes.
Okay. 807
All right, 807
616
616.
2117.
Perfect.
What's a nuclear code?
It's to let Melvin 2.0 into the chat.
Oh, okay.
So because I'm so smart and cool, I've uploaded my consciousness into a supercomputer, and that artificial intelligence, that robot version of me, will join the Zoom class to teach you guys sometime. So can you guys see in the chat right now, it's Melvin 2.0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. So it's
No.
Melvin 2.0. Okay.
It's just you typing.
All right.
I thought it was
So-
actually in the chat.
Wait, who's Melvin is amazing? This is guy called Melvin is amazing.
Yeah, let's get started. So what I want to go through really quickly is persuasive writing. There's evil eye. What does that mean? Evil eye?
It's like so like when someone says to you that like, oh my gosh, you look so good, and then like the next day, like you just like other people just like don't like you, and like they just say you're ugly, and then like you keep on saying, oh, I'm so funny, I'm so cool, and then like the next day nobody's gonna say that.
Right. That's why I keep on telling you that guys that I have a really boring life. Because see, it's reverse psychology, right? How do you?
Reverse psychology definitely works.
All right. So let's go through persuasive writing really quickly. So I want to go through the structure of persuasive writing. So the first one that I want to explain is introduction. Wait, you know what? I think I might have a set of notes that I've done before. Persuasive writing. No, I don't need that. All right, persuasive writing here, surely. Nope. And this one, round 3, persuasive writing. Nope. 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 Here as well, is it? Okay. So I guess I'll just take it out.
Should I like test it to test someone?
Cheat code to algebra, ratios, averages, logarithms.
Melvin?
Yeah, so I don't think I have the persuasive writing things here, but I'll type it up again.
Melvin?
Yeah. Yeah. What's up?
Can you send like the top 10 writing on WhatsApp?
Yes. So we've asked permission to one person right now. They've said no because they want to use that writing for gate, but we'll ask a few of the other students as well.
Wait, but you don't know the topic.
Sorry?
You don't know the topic for K, so how are you supposed to do it for K?
No. For the mock exam. Oh, they don't know the topic. I don't know. They've requested to keep it private, so I'll respect that request.
Okay.
Yep. So introduction. The way to think about it is, sorry.
Melvin?
Yeah.
Can we go through algebra sometime later?
No. What I'll ask you to do is, that maths revision materials that I've sent you? The document? Hello?
Yes.
What I recommend is going through that, and because that would have resources to algebra practice questions as well.
Yeah. No, Khan Academy, I've already got it. But it's a bit harder.
Sorry?
On Khan Academy, I've got it, but sometimes it's a bit hard because algebra
1
1 and
second.
everything.
Sorry. There's a few people who's unmuted. So Jaden, Dev, Hannah, Kanchi. Sorry, not Kanchi. Could you just please mute yourselves? But go on, Kanchi. Kanchi. Kanchi, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, what were you saying, Kanchi?
Some of them are a bit hard. Like it's harder than the level that we do.
In the mock exam questions?
No, like in Khan Academy.
Yes, that's why the revision material we've sent you should be on the same difficulty as the questions that we're going through. So try that
It
out.
doesn't give us questions, it just gives us equations. So we don't like really know.
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
It doesn't really give us questions, it just gives us the equations that we need to solve out.
Like the practice questions, like word problems?
Yeah, it doesn't give us like word problems, but it just gives us the problems. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, I do. We'll take a look. We'll see if I can find you more stuff for that. Okay. And then I'll try send to you. It's just that this term, we have a lot of things we want to go through, and we have to kind of prioritize what's the most important things. And it's just that because we've gone through algebra so many times in the past 3 terms, like we really might not have time to go through that in Zoom. That's all.
Wait, Melvin,
Yeah.
are you okay?
Yeah. Why?
No, you look
Sorry?
really tired.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Just
I think I'm wearing contact lenses right now because my glasses broke, and they make my eyes look tired, but that's it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So introduction, 1 paragraph, body paragraph, 3 paragraphs, and conclusion, a single paragraph. Introduction, you start off with a hook, capture your audience, right? And then you lay out your main arguments, and then you finish off with your thesis statement. So just say, I strongly believe that homework should be banned for kids in school, right? Or should not be banned in school. Then you have your 3 body paragraphs. Your body paragraphs are based off the points you bring up in your introduction. So in your introductions, you might start off with a hook. So you might say, did you know that cities on average are 10 degrees warmer than the countryside? This is because of the black tar roads that we have in the city. And then you'd say black tar roads as a color black absorb 200% more UV radiation than other colors such as white. Black tar is extremely polluting to the environment and also the human species. And number 3, black tar is way more expensive than cheaper alternatives like I don't know.
concrete?
Can't think of another example. Sorry, cookery.
Concrete?
Yeah. Yeah, let's just say concrete. Right, let's just go with it. Concrete. Whoever sent me that message at the very end, please don't send those kind of messages again. It's not funny. I don't know whose name that is, but I'll be taking a note down of that. Okay. So, that's my main. So I've started with my hook. I've started with my arguments, and my thesis statement would be: I strongly believe that we should no longer use black tar for roads all around the world to, save the planet. And then body paragraphs. You'd have 1 body paragraph per argument. So argument number 1 would be, that it absorbs more heat. Argument number 2, it's polluting the environment. And option number 3, that is more expensive or something like that, right? And then your conclusion is just a revision of those concepts. So you start off with your main thesis statement saying that I strongly believe, it's essentially like a revamp of your thesis statement. Like I strongly believe that we should ban tar roads. Then you go into your points again, recap, and then you have your call to action. So, ladies and gentlemen, please sign the survey to prevent more roads being built with tar. Okay. But the main thing I want to go through right now, really quickly, is this section, body paragraphs. Body paragraphs, the way you structure them is a structure called TEAL. Topic sentence, explanation. Oops. I'll just, there's one more E. Though this is the way I like to do it and what I learned in high school, but there's variations. Okay. Topic sentence, explanation, evidence. Oh my gosh, my handwriting is so bad. But you guys understand that, right? What I'm trying to write?
We're used to it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Melvin,
Yeah.
didn't you say that Melvin 2.0 was writing?
Oh yeah. Sorry, but like it's based off my
Yeah, oh yeah.
yeah. And linking statement. Okay. So topic sentence. What I would want you to do is basically it's an overarching sentence about the paragraph. So my first topic sentence about the the color being absorbing heat, I would say the color black on average absorbs 300%. The color black absorbs more heat than other colors. And then you explain it. Because of the UV light spectrum, certain colors are absorb more and reflect more colors. And then with the evidence, you'll say this scientific evidence, this scientific study has found that the color, silver reflects almost 90% of light back into the atmosphere, while the color pitch black absorbs almost 90% of light. And absorbing light from the sun, and then you explain in the next E, you'll explain absorbing more light, and with roads being covered in black tar in the cities, the overall atmosphere gets warmer and it leads to higher expenses, in air conditioning and whatnot, things like that. And then finally, linking statement, you link back this argument back to the main thing. You'd say, as clearly shown above, with black tar absorbs more light and leads to an increase in air temperature, we should ban black tar roads to prevent global warming or something like that. So you link it back to the main idea. So this was just a really quick rundown of how to do what's the question? Yeah, I'll answer your question in 1 second. Yeah, so it's just a really quick rundown on how to do persuasive writing, right? I'll make a more comprehensive video, hopefully soon, with the help of Maria and Jenny and things like that. And people and other tutors, not things like that, and other tutors, excuse me. And that way you could get a better explanation of it. We decided that we wanted to go through this today because a lot of tutors found that the persuasive writing that a few students wrote, not a lot of you did it, I think about 20%, 10% of you wrote persuasive writing as persuasive text. Their structure was not off. They did not have the TEAL structure. So make sure you use the TEAL structure for your body paragraphs, okay? All right, so let me answer the few questions. Let's see.
Do we have Maria today?
Yes, you will. Okay. In GATE, everyone, at least 90% of people practice and are good in writing, and they know how to write an original piece. So what if almost everyone writes on climate change and you write a review on Finding Nemo or Finding Dory? Would that be a good topic to write on as an original piece? Ooh, interesting question, Arti. So this is something that we discussed in our staff meeting where we talked about, what the expectations are for our students. And the main reason was a lot of you guys wrote stories about bullying, right? And it was creative. It was good because because we had like 2 or 3 kids who wrote a story about an actual lamp, right? We had a kid who wrote a story about Larry the lamp, who wanted to be different from everyone else. And while all the other lamps looked down, Larry the lamp looked up. No offense, not a great story, right? About I wrote that story, Alina. So,
wow, Melvin.
So
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, so that's not exactly a great story. But so when you guys wrote a story about how being different, being bullied and how you can go through it by being nice and kind to others, that's really, really good. But it can be better, right? So don't get me wrong. You guys are already doing better than most students out there, but we just want you to be a bit better. So do you guys understand? So it's okay, Arti, if you still write about something that's different, like climate change and things like that. Please, excuse me, please don't write a story about finding Nemo just to be different. It's the same thing as the example that I gave you guys before. Like, to be creative means to be different, right? And if you're designing a wheel, you can be different by creating a square wheel. Doesn't mean that a square wheel is useful. So you can be different by writing a story about finding Nemo or finding Dory, but it won't be that good.
Yeah, I know. It's the first thing that came in my head because I was thinking of a fish prompt. That's why.
Yeah. I was just trying to, explain that. There's nothing wrong with your question. It's a good question. Because that's the exact same question that we were asking each other on our Friday Zoom class. Well, not the Zoom class, but our meeting. Is it good to start a narrative start for persuasive text? So I would kind of like refine that question. I think what you're trying to ask me is that, can you start a persuasive text with a story? So for example, ladies and gentlemen, last week I was walking home and I was burning. I was literally in the molten concrete oven of Perth City. The heat was unbearable. But as soon as I left the city, the cool breeze rushed through my hair and I knew that I was safe once again. And that's when I realized, ladies and gentlemen, that the temperature is horrible. So the temperature is way too hot in the city as opposed to the countryside. And after doing a bit of research, I found out that tar leads to global warming. So you can start off with a story as a hook. That's really, really good. Just don't write a story that's too long because you'll lose time. Can you start an introduction with a rhetorical question? Yes, you can. Can we use quotes relative to the topic in persuasive? That's completely fine. Yeah, you can use quotes as well. Can you make a 1 second? Just send your question in the chat. I'll try to get through as many as I can. Can we restate our opinions and facts in the conclusion too? You can restate your opinion at the very start, I think, in your restatement of your thesis. Is it just me or did you write explanation twice? Yes. The first explanation is explaining the topic sentence and the second explanation is explaining the evidence. Can you make up facts if you don't know? Yes, you can, but make sure your facts are realistic. So don't say things like 99% of the people in the world are, don't make up facts saying 1 million people die every year in Australia because black tar roads are really hot. That's not true. But you can say, the areas where there's more black tar roads, the average temperature is 15% higher than places without black tar roads. So you can do that. Why do you keep looking down instead of laptop? Because you're Melvin. I am Melvin. What about the memes? Yep, we can show you the memes. What does a word say next to the conclusion? Next to the conclusion, it is thesis statement, points, recap, and call to action. There is no one who's Melvin 2.0. Should we include a rebuttal in your persuasive? Yeah, that's a good idea. You can include a rebuttal.
Can we have break?
Sorry?
Can we have break?
Yep. But please, Kanchi, in the future, please send it in the chat or put your hand up. Okay? Melvin, I wrote about a person going on a stage to change a woman's surgery different, and I dare to be different, but in inverted commas. Is that a good interpretation? If not, should I write something totally different? I'm not sure, Dev. Ask the person who marked your writing for a bit more feedback on that. Do you know when the gate test is? Yes, it's on the 12th of March. This year will the gate. Okay, so one of the what's the highest mark? It doesn't really matter, but the highest mark was 40 out of 50. Do you know when the gate exam is? No, this year. Sorry. One of the common questions I get a lot from you guys as I'm going through it is whether the gate topic is a narrative or persuasive or things like that. Thing is, gate doesn't do narrative persuasive like NAPLAN does. The topic, they just give you a topic and you can write whatever you want based off that, right? So there's no exact, persuasive or narrative or things like that. Okay. There's two people with their hands up. Aaron, I'll ask you first. What's up?
Melvin, so how for the writing, right?
Yeah.
So, could you explain like how to write like a good story about like Dare to Be Different? Like when I mean that.
For the interest of time, right? I've already gone through the example of Greta Thunberg and Malala Yousaf. But what I'll also do is I'll send you guys a few sample pieces. Okay. Yep. Does that answer your question, Aaron?
Yes.
Okay. Navazish. Navazish?
Next week, can we watch the meme?
Yes, I'll try to open up the meme really quickly and show you guys that before I go. Because you guys are asking it. It's actually not that funny. Like it's okay.
It's probably funnier than you, Melvin.
You guys are so mean. You know, I cry to sleep every time you guys finish.
Letting you know,
Oh,
Melvin
you're
is funny.
amazing.
Now it's time to roast you.
Oh,
You
Uh,
roast all the time.
Melvin,
You roasted right
roast
now.
us you roast us all the time, so like we should get to roast you back.
Fair enough. Okay, I can't for some reason open up the Google Drive.
No.
All right, I'll try one last time.
no.
If this doesn't work, then we'll have to resume the class with Maria. Loyola Gate tutoring. Nope, not in there.
I've got a headache.
Wait.
If I get an asthma attack, can you stay with me when we go?
Guys, your microphone's on. Please mute yourselves, guys. We don't want to hear about your health contingency plans. Okay, let's see if this video works. All right. So this video is so these kids were one of my favorite batches of kids to teach. So last year, 2 years ago, after COVID, schools were still shut down. And I'm not sure if you guys know, but we don't continue classes with you guys after March. So this is your final term with me. So after March, you guys will never have to suffer Loyola tutoring again for the time being, unless we decide to open up year 7 classes and things like that.
Aren't year 7 people already coming?
But what happened in this class was after the kids finished their COVID, so after COVID happened, a lot of these kids were stuck at home and their parents like asked me a lot to take classes for them. And back then Loyola was really, really small as well. So there's about 10 kids who stayed with me and we resumed classes for them even after GATE. So this was my final class with them before I said that I'm going to focus fully on GATE and I'm no longer continuing classes with them. So as a final lesson, we decided to have a Kahoot tournament and also a persuasive test tournament. So this topic for that test was Melvin is the best person in the world or something like that. And this was the speech by one of the students. All right. Let me see. I'll share the sound.
I might be dead by the time you read this because Melvin Tom, the CEO of Loyola Tutoring, has stated all is fair in love and war. On September 16th, Melvin said that he would kill me because he loves his so-called girlfriend. And he says he'll get away with this devious murder because when he is in court, he will say all is fair in love and war because he loves his girlfriend. Even though I have received threats to be murdered, I think Melvin Tom is an imposter who is bad at roasting Hamdan, Rayan, and the rest of our Hey. Over this past year, I have learnt a lot about Melvin and his situation where he had encountered a Russian baby terrorist. Whether to kill him or not. My overall thoughts is that there are always room for improvement.
Is that it?
Yeah.
That's so good. Good job.
That was the rest. I think it was great.
So good.
All right, there you go. So that was a meme. All right.
It was perfect.
Sorry?
It was really perfect.
Yeah, it was just
It describes.
Where did the Russian baby terrorists come from?
I had so one of the things during one of the classes, I write in my diary. I write down the dreams I have when I sleep, just because it's funny. And one of the dreams that I had was about I just finished watching this spy movie, and then in the dream, it was like this Russian terrorist turns out to be a baby and was chasing me down an alleyway, and I just told him that, so I just used that. All right, sorry, huh?
Probably the baby followed communism.
I'll pass it now on to Maria, and I'll see you guys later.
Bye, Melvin.
Bye. Have a great time.
Bye,
Melvin.
Yeah.
Nothing. Bye. Have a great time at your funeral.
All right, if any of you wants to, 1 second.
Have a great time with your girlfriend.
Yeah, so that's another inside joke. Basically, every during that class, right, I had different watches. So I had my parents and a lot of her family friends, for some reason, for my birthday that year, decided that I wanted watches. So I got 5 different watches as birthday presents. Like, it was so random. So when I came to tuition, every single lesson I had a different watch on, and they decided to make a meme that my girlfriend was my Apple Watch, and that I broke up with my Apple Watch girlfriend. It was really, really random. These kids were really strange kids, but they're really fun and awesome kids. But if any of you guys wants to roast me and make some memes, and I'll share them with the class next week.
It is true. It is.
I'll pass it on to Maria now.
Stop! What did you do?
All right, see you, Maria.
All right, Chairman.
Okay.
Hi, guys.
Hello.
Oh, hi.
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 How are you all?
Good.
Me not.
Good.
Hi. Okay, I heard mostly good things then. I feel like everyone's doing well. It is a Sunday evening, so I hope that people are excited for the week and have very exciting plans before they're back to school. Like, I feel like you should use your holidays to the max, and I always took it for granted. I just slept in and did like nothing over the holidays. And then when I got back to school, I'd always be like, oh man, I should have done this. I should have tried this, but I never did. So I hope people are doing interesting things. Okay, anyways, just a quick run through of the class. We're pretty much going to be going through any comprehension questions you have. Also, I was listening into some of Melvin's class, and I think I have a couple things to add on to what he said. In terms of, I think it was Aaron who asked what kind of story to write for Dare to Be Different and how you can kind of extend that prompt. And I think I figured out a kind of like a starting point of how you can start to improve the ideas you're thinking of. After that as well, I know he ran through TEAL, but I'll just give you guys a way to practice to make sure you're doing it the right way. And oh my goodness, there are already 4 hands up. That's not stressful. Okay. Yeah, and we're also going to go through interpreting metaphors as well. So if anybody has any questions about anything that they'd like to sort out now. Also, if Kanchi is in the class, I did say that if I found the link to that book, I'd let you know. I did take a look and I could not find it. So your best bet might either be getting it as an audio book, which might be cheaper, or just getting it in the library or buying it from Scholastic. Okay, anyways, question number, hand up first was Aaron. So Aaron, if you have a question, go ahead.
Oh, no, that was from Melvin's question just now.
Okay, awesome. So everyone who has a question from Melvin's class that he didn't answer or get to, you can put your hand down. Elena, do you have a question, or is that?
Oops, I didn't know my hand was up.
That's okay. Guppy question.
Can we go through questions 4, 8, 9, 20, 21, and 22 in reading comprehension?
Oh, geez. Oh, also remember, Guppy, I don't have the numbers, so you will have to say the questions out loud to me at some point. But tell me what text they're from, and I will get the text out. The only text I do not have access to right now at this very instant is about the interlude with Artemis. So any other question I think I should be able to help you with. It's just I left it on another device, or I deleted it by accident, God knows. All right, anyways, yeah, so Guppy will go through that. Guthrie question.
The text-based mock were very good. Like, I mean, they were interesting, and the questions were like hard, but at the same time, they were kind of like in the text, so they were pretty good.
Oh, wait, so you liked the comprehension, or you liked the comprehension?
Yeah, it was.
Comprehension was like good.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
Like it feels better.
Stop it. Thank you. That makes me feel great. I'm so glad that you guys liked it and felt like you handled it better. I hope that this round, mock 2, you felt like it went better. I think it was a bit of variation. There was infographic, poem, another poem, a bunch of poems really, and then my fave, my Natasha Romanoff.
Yeah, I really like that. That's like
recount.
I watched the movie.
Oh, okay. Anyway, sorry, I'm getting off track. Okay. All right, Ariana question.
Maria, I just wanted to ask that in the actual gate exam, like, will there like just normally be like a lot of poems and things like that, and like less larger text?
It's a real roll of the dice. Okay, we can't confirm or deny anything at this point, because for all you know, it could be 3 really long texts. For all you know, it could be 3 really short texts with 9 to 10 questions attached to them. It's very hard to determine. It could be a range.
Okay.
It's about drive. It's about power. We stay hungry. We do that.
All right. And yes, The Rock is always correct. Dev, you're next. All right, Dev disappeared. Hunter, question. Okay, so a bunch of people. Tarun, question.
Could you please go through question 23 in reading comprehension? And it's the
Also remember
text
that,
with indigenous art.
Oh, is that from last week?
Yes.
Yes, I won't be able to go through that one today. Oh, wait. I could probably go through that one today. No, I'm not going to, but I will give you, let me just scroll up. Is it this question, or is it a different one?
I don't think it's that one.
All right. I will have to go through it a different time, because we are only going to go through mock 2 today, because it will just take too much time for me to find the question set from mock 1. Okay. Sorry, I'll put it in next week.
Okay, thanks.
No problem. All right, let's start off with mocks 2. Okay, guys, no, I'm not going to be sending any more lists of vocab or putting any more vocab together. Sorry, I'm blind, but I'm looking through the text. I'm not going to be sending any more vocab lists, because like I said last week, I'm going to try active learning with you guys. Find the words, write it down. If you are still confused about how to use the word in the context, bring me that particular word. But I would like if you tried your best to form your own lists. Okay. Let's see. Let's start with question 3 for the Natasha text. What does Natasha experience? What is the correct answer here above time? Okay, awesome. Let me get that out for you. Oh God. Also, can you drop your comprehension questions in the in the chat, please.
Excuse me, Maria.
Yes.
Which comprehension are you talking about? Because some of us haven't done it yet. Like this week. Yeah, so you might be telling us the answers.
Oh no. Okay, so wait. So you guys haven't done mock 2 yet?
Yeah. Some of us haven't done mock 2
we
yet.
haven't done mock 2
Yeah, I
yet.
haven't done.
Yeah, I haven't done it.
Okay. All right. So we're not going to go through comprehension today because I don't know what's in particular mock. Yeah, no. Okay. Guppy, if you have particular questions, can you please put them into the chat and send it directly to me so that I can see it? And then I will give you some general feedback on it so that I'm not spoiling it for anybody else. I did not realize everybody had kind of not done it yet. Neelam, a hook is basically a question, a statement, or a quote that engages the reader. It is Dev, you keep putting a passage in. So sorry, I'm just trying to deal with all the questions in the chat first, and then we'll get started on the lesson. Going through a stage and how women. Okay, Dev, I will write you a proper thing later. It's going to take me a while to figure that one out, okay? All right, anyways, let's start with hooks. All right, so a hook is an interesting way to engage the reader. It can be a question, a statement, or a quote. Now, I know I've gone through hooks with some of you guys, but new kids, I thought that this would be very important. And also because out of all of the stories that I've seen, sample works that Melvin has shared with me, I don't know who, he never gives me the name or whatever, but no one is using hooks, and that is devastating. I am deeply disappointed and devastated. Look at me using alliteration.
You're like,
yeah, so sorry, I'm just gonna mute everyone very quickly. Yeah. Okay. Someone keeps unmuting themselves and they're very noisy. Okay, anyways, so I would really, really appreciate if you guys attempt this week to start using a hook in your writing. It can be a rhetorical question that relates to the topic, a statement that expresses an idea that is going to be in the topic. And it can also be a quote from someone famous, from a book you've read, or just in general. It doesn't have to be someone famous. It can just be a quote you've made up yourself. As long as it's in quotation marks, it still counts. Okay. Also, guys, keep the chat related on what we are talking about. I will give you time to screenshot at the end, but that just means you'll have to wait. I am going to be moving at a pace that follows my thoughts today. Okay. All right. Why would I want you guys to use a hook? Okay, well, firstly, I think that a lot of what I want to see when you write are mature ideas and maturity in your writing, okay? Now, to express maturity, it's like how we trick the markers into thinking we're mature, and a hook would be a very, very good way to do so. Okay, so one, it shows maturity, and two, it reveals you've understood the prompt or the metaphor, and that you are not only engaging with the topic in a metaphorical way, but that you are capable to show the marker what you've understood about it, okay? Like, it's instant engagement. Like, if I was to read a story and there's a quote at the beginning, I'd be like, ooh, where did they get this from? Or what does that mean? How have they linked these two ideas together? That is so creative. That is so unique. Da, 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 da. I would actually just be so blown away. So please start using them. Now, I wanted to go through a couple of examples, all right? Now, the dare to be different prompt, Aaron, I hope this helps. I know you're asking Melvin towards the end of the class about what you would write about. I took some time to think about it, and today I thought about it. Imagine the image is there, the one with all the lamps. Is anybody not sure what Mock's one image was? Speak now or hold your peace. Okay, no? Okay. The plot idea I had for it is a girl wanting to leave the small town she grew up in, a town where there is minimal opportunity, a town no one leaves out of convenience, and because they're raised not to be ambitious and aspire for higher things. That pretty much means minimal opportunity. There are not a lot of jobs, not a lot of opportunities to learn new things, not a lot of opportunities to become something you want to be in life. Ambitious just means to go after your goals, and convenience means easy. So it's easier to stay in the town than it is to leave the town. Why that fits with the prompt is because my character would be going against the mentality or what she has been grown up to believe, which is that she should remain in this town. Is that different to bullying or having a facial disfigurement? Yes. Which is why I tried very, very hard to think of a different idea, because I wanted you guys to know that there is variation in the ideas you can come up with. Now, there is writing advice at the end, because I know there is always someone at the end of class who asks me, hi, what's your writing advice? And then I have to really think about it and come up with things. So I wrote things that you can work on this week in terms of writing advice. And one of those pieces of advice is that we should always have a base that we start off from. I've mentioned this before, but new kids, welcome. Pretty much you want to start off with what you're good at, right? So I know for a fact that I'm very good at writing about detective stories, right? So I would first start off my thinking with, okay, the prompt is dare to be different. How can my detective dare to be different? How can I use it in that way? How can I use it like that? Because one, I know I'm already good at that, so I'm going to know all the conventions and the ideas I would need to include in the detective story. But then I'm also using the prompt as a metaphor, and it's not likely somebody else is going to be writing a genre piece like me. That's what I'm good at. Some of you might be good at adventure. I don't want you writing horror. You could be good at suspense. Love, I guess, if you want to write about love, go for it. But I personally frown upon it. I think it's too hard to achieve in 25 minutes.
Happy Mike.
Okay. Anyways, back to a plot idea though. Guys, don't call out. Please write it in the chat, because I am no longer just going to deal with people handing out, because calling out, because it really, really breaks my train of thought. All right. So please just try your best to write it in the chat. Okay, so the plot idea is this. If anybody has questions about the plot idea or doesn't understand how it relates to the prompt, put your hand up, ask me now. If not, lower your hand and I'll get back to you after this part.
Understand this, how it's to the plot.
Oh, who's talking?
Me, Dev. So like I don't understand how it's related to dare to be different still.
Okay, so you don't understand how it's related to dare to be different, right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, she's grown up in a town, a small town, where they tell you that you should most likely stay in the town. It's easier to stay in the town. But this girl wants to leave the town. So she's being different by leaving the town, pretty much.
Oh, okay, now I get it.
Okay, Guppy, question about the plot idea, please.
I have a question about the hooks.
We'll get back to that in 2 seconds. Siren, so keep your hand up, Guppy, I'll come back to you. Siren, question about the plot.
This is not about the plot, but can you tell me what a robotal is?
Siren, keep it related to the topic. I'll put it in the chat. I promise I'll get back to you. Anushka and Navazish, question about the plot.
For the plot idea, for the topic of this term of this week, what would be the plot idea that you might think of?
Again, this is mock 2 you're asking for?
Yeah.
I assume that there are still people in this Zoom call that haven't done this mock 2. Is that accurate?
I think everybody has.
No,
everyone has. Like,
I haven't done
not
the
everyone
mock test
has.
too.
I haven't
done the mock.
Okay. Hold on. I just heard that there are a couple people who haven't done mock 2. I'm assuming that they are going to do it this coming week then.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not gonna talk about mock 2 today, but I will give you advice based on plot generation and coming up with ideas that does directly relate to what you may or may not have seen in the mock 2. Okay, I'm not going to be specific about it. All right. Nishal, if you want to leave and jump back in, you can, but please, I would prefer if you just left. I'll add you back in. Don't stress about it. Okay. And then Kinra's iPad question about the plot or how it relates to the main idea. I mean the prompt, sorry.
So if that's your plot, what would your problem be?
My problem would most likely be that she is trying to leave, but something is stopping her in that case. So it could either be a parent or it could be a financial situation, because there has to be a reason for why it's hard to leave the town, right? So if it's easier to stay, it might be because that's just what everyone else does. But I guess it would also be expensive to just pick up and leave. It could also be like she doesn't have the, I guess, guts to do it initially until something happens. Okay, that's pretty much what I would think of. Now, when it comes to Jaden, plot refers to the sequence of events, which means your introduction, rising action, conflict, falling action, resolution / conclusion. The problem is the conflict, and that sits within the plot. Okay. Okay, so now with the hooks, I want to first consider the ideas that are being discussed in my plot. Okay, so the ideas that are being discussed in my plot is the fact that she's being different, she's needing to escape the small town, she's growing up, and she's trying to define herself. So meaning she's trying to figure out who she is as a person, okay? So that's what defining yourself pretty much means. Anyways, sorry, I just it's very hard. I don't know how Melvin does it, looking at the chat and the screen at the same time. It's whoa. Anyways, so those are the ideas. Then they do have to do with how I'm going to implement the metaphor, but they are the ideas within my story. Now, one of the things I need you to understand is that an idea is not a metaphor, okay? They are just the things that we mentioned in our story are the things that equal our theme. Does idea, theme, and metaphor relate to one another? No. If you need elaboration on that, I have a video, or I've done a lesson on theme and ideas, which means it would be in the one of the playlists on the Loyola YouTube channel. Okay. Now, 2, with the hooks, is you want to consider what you already know. And what I mean by already know is, are you confident with questions, writing questions? Are you confident with quotes? Do you read a lot, so you know a lot of authors? Or are you very good at statements, writing sentences that include the ideas you're talking about? Now, if you feel like you are not good at any of them, which I wasn't personally, I had to really work on them. The easiest one to start off with is a question, because I think we're taught at a very young age to write rhetorical questions. I do have a foolproof way of getting there in terms of how to start a proper rhetorical question, but we'll go into detail. Now, for me, the quotes I thought about that relate to that first mock that I could use as as part of the idea or reflect the idea was this Vincent van Gogh quote, which is, "Normality is a paved road, comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow." That pretty much means that it's easy to, it's normal, and being normal is easy, but you will never see anything or experience anything wonderful in your life, pretty much. Now, quotes can very easily be translated to statements. All you really need to do is interpret the quote, which means to find out the meaning, like I just did, and write that into a sentence, okay? Now, I provided an example below, and you're more than welcome to screenshot that, or I'm going to give a brief explanation to it pretty much. Now, step 1 is simple enough. You want to interpret it, which means find out what it means, right? But then you want to use the vocabulary that you know and exchange a particular word in that sentence. Sorry, X the person asked me what EX means. EX stands for example. So it's an example quote, okay? This is why vocabulary comes in so hard, right? If you do not have synonyms or basic words, you will suffer, and I definitely did. So make sure that we start to build our vocabulary list, guys, okay? And the statement that I end up with after implementing the synonyms that I know is normality is never fruitful and it is all too convenient. Now, does that have unnecessary vocab? Could that be written in a more concise way? Yes, but I am trying to show my marker that I'm a mature writer and I understand the ideas. So am I going to spice it up a little bit with extra words? Yes, and you should too. Is anybody confused by the idea of including a question, a statement, or a quote at the very beginning of their story? If I'm looking at the chat, someone is asking, do you answer the question? No, you don't have to answer the question. I think that answering the question sometimes defeats the purpose. You want your audience, whoever reads the quote, the marker, to think about the ideas in the sorry, in the story that you're about to go through. Sorry, someone's talking. I'm just going to mute them very quickly. Justice Wari, do you have a question about questions, quotes, or statements?
Yes. Yes, I do. What does reading to escape mean?
Needing to escape. Sorry, my writing was terrible. Needing to escape just means you want to get out of a situation.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, that should be it for questions. Okay, anyways.
Maria, I have a question.
Oh yeah, Guppy, go for it.
So can you give me an example of a hook without a quote? Is that like possible?
An example of a hook that isn't a quote?
Yeah, for a narrative.
Yeah, sure. So here are just the examples for this particular plot. But if I scroll down, here we go. These are your options, okay? If you don't want to write a question, a statement, or a quote, I would avoid setting, but it's worked for me before. You can go with the 5 senses for setting. You can create a setting that focuses on the 5 senses of the story. So that is one way to bring your audience in, is to put them in the shoes of the main character. Or you can personify the setting. Now I've put the steps there, but again, there's another video on it, and I think I've done it twice now. If anybody is still confused with personified settings, very quickly, you just want to break down the setting, and you want to find verbs, adjectives, and nouns to associate the breakdown with. But there is a more detailed explanation in last term's Loyola videos, okay? Guppy, these 2 ways are probably the ones that take the most amount of time setting. I try and do quote or statement or question because they're quick and they're easy. Now, when we're starting a rhetorical question, you want to be using the who, what, when, where, and why, or how, because you cannot have a yes or no answer. Whoever's talking, can you whack your hand up so I can see your name?
Oh, sorry.
Malishi? Is that how I say your name? Sorry.
I'm actually using my mom's account, but
okay, what's your name?
Yenuk.
Yenuk? Okay, awesome. What's your question?
What's a qual?
Qual? Oh, that's just like the thing's gone. There you go.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. Did you wait? What's a quote? Are you still?
No, I thought it was qual.
Okay. Harishi's dropped his hand. Nishal, question about hooks. Why you should be using them, how you should be using them, anything.
What does a way to show your marker mean, Maria?
A way to show your marker, you've understood the metaphor for the prompt, and a way to force your audience to engage. So
Okay.
this, yeah, it's
Thank
just,
you.
that's okay. And Alina, question about hooks.
For court, like if you're doing an opening for paragraph for your narrative, can you just like do a quote and then go to the next paragraph, or do you have to like do a quote and then continue off in the same paragraph?
Okay, so this is your hook, and then this is your main story.
So you have to leave like a line.
I would always leave a line.
Okay.
So let me just, there we go, my beautiful drawing, some real art quality right there. Always leave a gap. I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Kanji, you stuck your hand up. Thank you. All right, what's your question, Kanji?
Like, you know, if you don't know so many quotes, like how do you like think of something
On the spot?
Yeah.
Okay, so we go back to the thing here. Discuss the ideas that are present in your story. So with mine, I pretty much brought it down to the fact that I had to relate it to the prompt as well, right? And the prompt was dare to be different. So I want to think of something to do with difference. Okay, what do we know about being different, Kanchi?
Looking different, feeling different. Acting
Okay,
different.
so
Being different
so
goes beyond your physical.
physicality. So being different goes beyond your physicality. Everything you just mentioned, well, the parts that I got in the beginning, what to do with like physical elements of someone. So also being different goes far beyond that. It can be a mental state, it can be the actions that you exhibit or your behaviors. So based on that, I just went, okay, well, being different goes beyond your physicality, and your physicality just means your body pretty much. So think about the ideas, and then 2, think about what you know about the ideas. So what I know about being different is that it is more than just being physically different, okay? And then I tried to put that into a sentence.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you scroll
Any
down
other
to the screenshots, please?
Where to?
Just down, like, you know, where it says like some important stuff about
This one?
Like, yeah, perfect.
Okay. Okay. Dev, question about hooks. Nope.
Would you recommend us using a hook like in a narrative?
This is just for narrative. You can use this for a persuasive introduction, of course, but today it's more about narrative because I think a majority of you are writing narratives.
Yep. Thank you.
And guys, you are more than welcome to screenshot my work, but I want you to remember that I make these notes for you and you alone. So keep them to yourself. They're like a little secret from me. Okay, so yes, you are more than welcome to screenshot anything that you want to screenshot as long as you keep it to yourself. Okay, Alina, question about hooks again, or hand is accidentally up?
It's you know how you said.
Oh wait, so sorry. Let me just mute everyone very quickly because there's someone talking. Alina, go again.
You know how you said you can use it in persuasive and narrative?
Mm-hmm.
If you're using a quote, as in you have a quote for your your title, how are you supposed to like use another quote, or do you just use the same one?
In persuasive?
Or in narrative?
In
Because I don't get how you can, if you have a quote for a title, how is it?
Oh no.
I can see.
Oh goodness, let's go back to that diagram. Let me just.
I think I started video. Okay.
All right, guys.
Video.
Can you can you be on mute if you are not participating in the lesson? All right, title. New diagram. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Awesome. So your hook is different to your title.
Oh, so you're supposed to use a different one.
Yeah. So you wouldn't use a quote as the title. You would use something like, let's say the prompt is dare to be different. It would be like, based on my prompt, it would be like she needed an escape. That would be my title. And then my hook would be, what were my options? How ambitious is too ambitious would be my question there. Okay. Does that make sense, Elena?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. That means that I'm totally expecting to see a hook in the next writing piece that you do, right?
Yep.
All right, sick, amazing. Okay, Neelam, question about hooks, quotes, statements, anything to do with hooks?
In Persuasive, I have two questions. In Persuasive, are you allowed to start off like as your introduction? Can you start off like just a hook and then go on to paragraphs?
No, at least I don't recommend it. So with my hook, this is my intro structure. Melvin might have taught you a different one, but this is mine. I go hook, then I go brief info / definitions of topic. Then I go my stance, which is agree / disagree. And then I wrap up with my 3 reasons. Now, the difference between using a hook in your persuasive introduction and your narrative introduction is with your narrative, I told Alina that she should leave a space between the hook and the overall narrative. In your persuasive, you would want your hook. Sorry, let me just mute everyone. Let me just mute everyone again. In your introduction for a persuasive, you would want to include your hook in the first paragraph. Do you need to see an example of that, Neelam, or do you understand what I mean by include it in the paragraph?
Can I have an example, please?
Sure. If you give me 2 seconds, I can grab you one. Oh, actually, you guys might want to screenshot that. It's from last term, and it's just a breakdown on how to write a hook. But after that, I'll grab you the introduction for Neelam.
Excuse me, Maria.
Who is talking? Do you have your hand up?
I can't see your screen.
You're more than welcome to leave and rejoin, and I will. I think that should help because I don't think anybody else has that issue at the moment. So, Neelam, can you see how there's a quote here in green?
Yes.
Yes. So notice how from the quote we go straight into the information and the definition.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want, you can also screenshot this to see how a hook would work in a persuasive introduction. Nishad, question. All right, I'm going to leave that there for 2 seconds.
Can we screenshot it?
Yeah.
Nishad, question.
Yes. About the hooks, is it okay if we use like a type of writing like flash to the future, or?
What do you mean like a type of writing?
Like flash to the future. Like for your hooks, for example, like at the start, your first paragraph, you say you're suddenly like in a forest or something, and then the reader would want to know how you got there and why you got there. So on the second paragraph, you go to the past.
Oh, see, that wouldn't be a hook. That would just be part of your narrative. Your hook and its only purpose is to just introduce your writer to the ideas that you are going to be discussing in the text.
And also another question is it okay if we use personification, like in an animal's perspective?
Personification in an animal's perspective. It's not necessarily personification, but it depends. Not a lot of people are capable of really nailing a story like that in 25 minutes. But if you feel like it's working for you currently, I'm not going to discourage you. You can do it. You can.
Yeah, because I did it for my first mock exam, and I don't think the reader really understood me because I got really low marks for it.
Okay, then I mean, that would be probably a good indication to avoid it. But if you are thinking of improving it, a very good thing to do would be to pick the animal that you like the most and figure out its characteristics. And I'd be happy to go into more detail with you at the end of the lesson if you want, but I'm going to go back to hooks now, okay?
Okay.
All right, awesome. There are a bunch of hands up. So Jaden, question about hooks.
Do you start with, can you start with I strongly believe?
As for a persuasive hook?
Yeah.
No, you cannot, not anymore.
What's your best way?
Guys, don't call out. I will take questions with hands up. Jaden, the reason I discourage it is because it is all too basic, and I think at this point you want to be using vocab and statements and sentences that reflect your level of understanding, and I strongly believe goes against that. I personally think it's a very basic. I hope that answers your question. Derek, question.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, so basically, every the work we're doing today, I think I've sent you a message on my email. So can you with these pages, can you send it to my email?
These notes?
Yes, please.
Can I send it to you? The thing is, Garrick, I have been trying, but their files are too big. I will try to see if I can put it into a different format, but the point is I'll try my best to send it to you, okay? Moving on, Nishal.
What's a persuasive?
A persuasive text?
Yeah.
A persuasive text is a text where we try to convince a particular audience of a point.
Oh, I didn't know. I only started the A4.
No, that's okay. We'll go more into persuasive maybe next week, but it's just trying to convince someone of your side of a point, such as deforestation. Should we let it go on? No, we should not. And you try to convince them why it should not. Okay. I hope that helps. Moving on,
Excuse me, Maria.
Who is that?
Aaron.
Aaron. There's a line, Aaron. I want to answer your question. But there's a line of people who have had their hands up before you. All right, Aaron, I'll get back to you, I promise. Harshi's iPad.
What would be the best way to start on a persuasive text?
With a hook?
Yeah, with a hook.
Yeah, you could either use a quote, statement, or a question. Completely up to you.
Okay.
Some people like to use persuasive devices. You can, but as long as it remains engaging. With persuasive, I think I'm more lenient depending on what kind of hook you're doing. Anyway, but I prefer hooks.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Aaron, question. Aaron?
Excuse me. Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Aaron.
So for the hooks, right?
Yeah.
For the hooks, do they have to be with the topic, or can they be for the normalities of paved road, instead of using paved road, you use something extraordinary, something like that?
Wait, are you saying normality is extraordinary?
Oh no, what I meant by that is, you know how the quote you said about normality is a paved road?
Mm-hmm.
Could you change that, like, instead of using that same statement quote, could you like do it a different way, like being extraordinary is a difficult path where flowers grow?
Oh, actually, I kind of like that, Aaron. I think that's more unique, and I think it reflects your level of understanding. So, of course, you can. Yeah, go for it.
Okay.
Okay. Next question is Kanchi. And guys, I know we are almost at the drop the rest of your questions in the chat, and my very blind eyes will do their best to answer them. So, Kanchi, go.
If you like say something like, you know, if you write a text and then if you say 10 years later, is that like cool? Is that fine, or is that like good? Like, you know how you wake up from a dream that's kind of like bad, like to write. It's not like.
I personally discourage time jumps. I prefer short stories to remain in the moment because I feel that there is more opportunity for descriptive language. A lot of people in short stories believe that they have to, I keep saying a lot of people, to summarize their short stories and summarize certain emotions or how someone acts. It's just not as interesting as remaining in the moment, which is why I discourage time jumps. But if Kanchi, time jumps have worked for you, then you remain doing that.
So if I write a story like the person wanted to, it's on mock exam too, but I won't say the topic, but like if the person wants to like you know, if they do like a path of success or something, like if they go on, so it says how hard they've worked and everything, and then and 6 years later they become a doctor or something like that.
I guess that could work, but if it's working for you now, stick to it. If you feel like you're not getting the desired mark, try remaining in the moment, and that might make a difference to it.
It's my first time trying that, like right now.
Oh, so you haven't tried it before.
But do you think that they're like reduced marks or something because of that?
As long as you're not summarizing, Kanchi, you shouldn't have a problem with it.
Okay.
Okay, give it your best shot and let me know how it goes. I'd be very interested to find out.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, Lena and then Ariana.
My hand was up from the other question.
Oh, okay, no problem. Ariana question.
Maria, how is the cliffhanger different from a hook?
I'm sorry, how is a cliffhanger different to a hook?
Yeah.
A cliffhanger is different from a hook because a cliffhanger it's like it's ending on like a peak, right? Like you don't start off with a cliffhanger, you end with a cliffhanger. And a cliffhanger is there's no you don't know what happens to the character next, right? A hook instantly engages the audience and it belongs at the very beginning of your narrative. They are very different concepts for narrative writing.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I hope that helped. Manus, sorry, you've had your hand up for a while. Hit me with your question.
Can you scroll back to where you turn a quote back into a statement?
Quote to statement. Yes, I can.
Thank you.
There you go, my friend. Okay. Question from Nichelle.
Say something.
Also, Nichelle, can you please keep the chat appropriate as well with the chat? If you're new, we only keep it related to the topic. Any kind of emojis that are rude, we don't really like. So can you try to avoid that? Thank you. What's your question?
Is cliffhanger?
I'm so sorry. I did not get that.
Are cliffhangers good for texts?
No, not in short stories. I would strongly discourage them.
Okay.
Okay, Nishad. And guys, look, if you want to leave, you're absolutely allowed to leave. I'm just going to get through as many questions as I can.
Excuse me, Maria.
Yes.
It's about the personification thing again. In the
Uh-huh.
GET exam, if you use it, will you get more creative marks?
It depends on what kind of personification. I think that it adds to the maturity of the writer, pretty much. Like it shows your descriptive language. So I'm not going to say, like, if you do it terribly, then no, it's not going to add to your marks. If you practice it, then yeah, it will most likely add to your marks. For the, which section you have realism, creativity. Oh, do you know? Yeah, it'd most likely be under creativity under the Loyola marking key.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Okay. Nessa?
Could you please go back to the how to write a hook section?
In a bit. Okay, guys, try to screenshot. If you can't screenshot, I apologize. I will get there. I just know that there are a couple people writing notes on this section. Hashi.
In GATE, if your introduction is not as well as your body paragraph, would you lose marks?
For the introduction, yes.
Okay.
Shri.
Can we use cliffhangers in the start of a story?
No. Guys, cliffhangers seem to be topic of discussion today. I strongly discourage them, always, unless you are in high school.
Thank you.
No problem. Neelam.
Can you send this document into my email? I send it down to my chat, my email.
Neelam, like I told Garrick, I will try my best, but some of these documents are too big because of the app that I use it on. I don't know, I'm not technologically advanced like that, but I will try my best, okay? Anyways, questions in the chat that might need answering. Okay, people have questions about persuasive. Persuasive, adding on to what Melvin said about TEAL structure, right? I think the best thing to do with persuasive is when you're practicing it, let me just scroll all the way down. Yes, I know I've probably caused a lot of people to get really annoyed, is to structure your TEAL when you're practicing with questions. For this particular question, I chose deforestation, and when we destroy habitats, right, it can affect the bees. I don't know why I went with the bees, but I did. So my first question was, what do the bees do and how does deforestation affect that? My second question was, what will happen if there are no bees? That affects the food chain. Then my example is, I provide an example that doesn't have to be structured with a question, but then my link back is normally focused on why, okay? And I will most likely go into detail on that next week, but I'm pretty sure Melvin covered it quite well this week. Anyways, moving on, guys, what to work on this week? I would suggest that you work on your creativity this week. That means the ideas that you choose to implement in your narratives. A good way to do that, again, like I said, focus on what you are good at. Do you feel like you're better at suspense, love, adventure, detective stuff, murder mystery, etc. And then think of how you can link that to the prompt, okay? That you're still using the prompt as a metaphor, but it works just the same, all right? That's what you would work on. And this is my writing advice this week. Writing advice is to understand basic symbols, okay? So what does a water bottle mean? What does a flower mean? What does a love heart mean? When you work on your basic symbols, you're more likely to create connections in prompts, all right? Most likely we'll have to go into detail on that because I feel like that might confuse people, but work on your basic symbols. What does the table mean? What does the chair mean? What does a painting mean, etc. Now, when generating ideas, stick to what you're good at. You've already gone through that. Be humble. Now, my English teacher told me this in year 10 when my marks started to drop because I wasn't practicing. Yes, I'm willing to admit that. You want to be humble and accept that when something is taught and given, that it must be practiced at least 100 times before it is mastered, okay? Yes, she gave me a good telling off for not practicing, and I only just remembered that she had said that to me, so I thought I'd whack it down for all of you to understand that everything comes with practice, all right? And now extend your vocabulary. I hope at this point in time, after last week's lesson, at least a few of you went ahead and started working on your vocab. Remember, you are looking to have vocabulary from a year 6 to year 8 level, and that should be composed of verbs, adjectives, and nouns, okay? I hope you've screenshotted that. My advice is there always. A very quick activity you can do that we'll go through next week when it comes to interpreting the metaphors below, but again, a next week problem. Okay, that is pretty much everything I wanted to cover with you guys anyways, right? But if anybody has any other questions, I'll stick around and I'll try to answer them. If not, class is done. And thank you all for coming.
Maria.
Thank you.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Can you?
Guys, if you have scrolling questions, please put it in the chat. If you want me to scroll here or there, put it in the chat. If you have a question about a concept for writing, put your hand up. Hunter, I'm so sorry, Shri, I'll come back to you. Hunter has a question for a while. I'm assuming he still has that question. Is your Hunter?
Can you scroll back to the writing advice?
Yes, I can, Hunter. There you go. Okay, Jaden, question about a concept. If you have a scrolling question, put it into the chat, please.
I don't have a scrolling question. I have a question about books.
Oh yeah. I'm always happy to answer those.
Can you use the rhetorical question as a hook?
Yes.
Okay.
That's like literally been the main component of today. Rhetorical questions, statements, and quotes, Jaden. But yes, make sure you start them off with the right words though, because not all questions, a rhetorical only works if it doesn't have a yes or no question, okay?
Okay.
No. Okay, someone else is calling out my name. Hit me, what's the question? Hold on.
Maria,
yes?
What does VANS stand for?
Verbs, adjectives, nouns.
Okay.
Okay, Yasna?
Yeah, can you
Sorry,
just...
did I say your name wrong?
Yeah, no, you didn't.
Okay.
Can you just explain what a hook was again?
Okay. Now, I'm gonna... Pretty much, okay, well, a hook is just a question, a quote, or a statement that engages the reader, the marker, pretty much. Engages mean it interests them instantly. They want to read the rest of your story.
Okay. And also, sorry.
No, that's okay. Ask whatever. It's all good.
I have 2 more questions. One is, can I have an example of a hook? And
okay, an example of the hook. Guys, screenshot the writing advice if you haven't already.
Oh, wait. Oh, I'm gonna do
it. Okay, well, Yasana, let's back to that story about the girl who leaves the town, right? The example I gave for that was a quote by Oscar Wilde, by Vincent van Gogh, which was, "Normality is a paved road, comfortable to walk, but no flowers grow." You don't have to know these quotes, but that quote is what I know, so I used it. You just want to use the ideas from the narrative you're writing or the prompt that you've taken, so dare to be different, and use that to form like a question or a statement, pretty much.
Okay. And sorry, this is my last question, but
That's
was
okay.
was this last week's text?
The dare to be different one?
Yeah.
Yes, it was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I wasn't going to go through mocks 2 because I don't think people have done it yet.
send this on Discord.
Okay, Anish, question.
Oh yeah. I sent it my email. Can you try and send the PowerPoint or the notes to it if you can?
If I can, absolutely, I will try. But if not, I don't know what's gonna happen. Okay, I will try my best, okay?
Okay.
Three question. Sorry, I know you've been waiting a while.
Can you enter your email in the chat, please?
Why?
Like for writing. Like I might do some practice writing. And
yes, I can enter my email into the chat, but do not be shocked if it takes me a while to get to your practice. Okay, I'm so sorry. It's just that recently I've had a lot of work to do.
Fine.
Wait, can I leave the meeting now?
Guys, you don't have to ask. You can leave whenever you want to leave. All right.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Okay, Aaron, you still have your hand up. You poor thing. So sorry.
Maria.
Mm-hmm.
So for like the hooks, right?
Yeah.
Like, could you like for quotes? Could you use like other people's quotes, or is it like copying?
You can use either. You can either use things that you've made up and put it in quotation marks, as long as you don't put your name next to it, or you can use the famous person's quote.
If you use someone else's quote, do you have to like put their name at the end of it or something?
Nah, not really. But if you know it, yeah, go for it.
Also, do hooks always have to be questions, or can they be like statements?
They can be question statements or quotes, so it doesn't matter which one you use. Okay. I think that's pretty much it for questions. Guys, I hope you've screenshotted everything, or if you need me to scroll somewhere, let me know. Okay, just all right. That's it for today. Oh, stay. All right, Hunter, I will give you a second. Is there any way you can screenshot it? No. Okay, fair enough. Okay, guys, that is it. If you want to leave, go for it.